Welcome everyone to David Starlyte. Hi, David. Have a,
Hi, good morning, everyone.
have a great show.
Thank you so much. And it's another beautiful day here. It's been an interesting week weather-wise, and this is just a majestic day. So the energy is really beautiful. It's quite busy this time of year. It seems like there's more tourists around. This is a tourist town, and it seems like things are quite busy. I have quite a noisy neighbor, so that is a challenge because we had a very peaceful environment here. There's 8 different sort of units. It's a complex, so we had 8 units, and everyone was quiet up until a few days ago when there's a group of people who've moved in for a month, and they're very, very disruptive at night. This time of day, they are quiet. And I don't know how many of them there are, but they are very, very loud. So it's quite confronting at the moment. And I'm sure a lot of you have similar experiences. And it's an interesting part of the lived experience dealing with this kind of challenge. And so I'm reading the comments section. So welcome to Stuart in Florida. That's great to see you as always, Stu. And Emmanuel Gabriel del Sol. That's a beautiful name. Emmanuel is an angel. So Gabriel, the Archangel Gabriel, is a very strong energy to me. Archangel Gabriel. So you have that kind of protected energy around you, Emmanuel, with the angels and the archangels. And I'm curious what kind of family you came from, who gave you that name, because I always think it's something interesting. When there's an interesting name, sometimes the people who gave that name were also interesting people. I've always had some ideas around naming, and I always think if one ascribes meaning to that birth, ascribes meaning to that particular soul, and chooses that soul with consciously with one's consciousness, really directing that experience and channeling it so that you bring it forth into the world in the birthing process. I do think the name can be really interesting. What comes through, what's channeled through. Often people wait until for a couple of days or a few days after the birth to name the child, because it's a very significant transition period of this new soul entering the human plane, the human existence, this human dimension, and that's when we can receive wisdom from the ethereal realms. We can receive the name from spirit. If there is one sent to us, we can channel that and receive that. So a lot of people have names that were received. For instance, my name was sent in a dream. And I was going to be called a lot of different names. I heard Michael and Philip and various other names were being suggested. And then the dream was very strong, indicating that my name should be David. So please feel free to share in the comments if your name carries particular significance or meaning for you, if it's something that perhaps your parents named you for a particular reason. And there's always a special energy around names. Each name has a meaning, has a unique vibration. So it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful to meet people with unusual names, with different names, and to hear the story behind the names, and of course culturally significant often. Regarding this challenges that we're experiencing, and particularly the toxic media, the media's, I've spoken before about how toxic they are and how really we can enter into that kind of low density space or low vibration space. It only it only keeps us in a very low vibration of fear and greed and very low consciousness. And I've watched the news many times, so it's not like I'm speaking to you from a high horse. It's just knowing what works and what doesn't work, and what kind of energies support the elevation of consciousness and what energies don't. So the low energies of the media are designed to suck you into a vortex of fear and delusion. So I wouldn't recommend that. And that it is the fake news. It's not real news. So just be aware of that. If you do enter into it a little bit, just be aware of how fake it is. And I remember a good example of this was, I don't know if you were around for September 11, and I was around for September 11. And what happened on that particular time was that there were a lot of people who sat by their television set for days. And God knows how that helped their own life or helped the world. In no way did the sitting at a television set help anyone. And there was a lot of people who actually suffered in that moment. And instead of doing something positive, like you could give a donation, you could do something for your own life to help yourself, or you don't necessarily have to help humanity. By helping yourself, you are helping humanity. There was a tendency amongst a lot of people, and I remember spending, I think I spent the whole afternoon just watching, and there wasn't really very good energy, let's face it. But this idea of sitting around watching events on a television, it's not a healthy vibration, and particularly when it's too much. A little bit little doses of anything, that's usually fine. It's just the addictive nature of it, and when people are addicted to the news, for instance, it's not very helpful. And what's important as souls is not to get caught up in this world. Let me say it again. What's important to us as souls is not to get caught up in this world. We're here for a temporary experience, for our soul to learn and grow and be here. That's really all it is. And when we get caught up in anything, it distracts us from what our purpose is, what we're here to do. So we're here to be part of this experience. And for many of us, that involves raising the vibration. So always think, is this going to raise the vibration or bring it down? And everything you see around you is ephemeral. It is illusory. It's not long lasting. It's not here to last. It's just short lived. It's like the sun rises and the sun sets at the end of the day, and everything changes, and it's same patterns repeat themselves. So yes, it seems new, but really it's the same old things. And I think people said in stories, it's the same story that's repeated. There's only, I think there's 3 kinds of stories or 5 kind of stories, and essentially the story just gets repeated. And that's what we're here. We have this short window of opportunity, of possibility to be human in this world. And it's important that we appreciate that we're here for a short time, and then we're gone, and enjoy being here and be here the most you can be, which is not sitting by a TV set. That's not bringing your potential and possibility into realization. We do get caught up in stuff, and me as well. There's seems like there's more drama now than for a while. It just seems there's a lot more drama, And drama is entertainment, and that's what the news, the so-called news, they're all about the entertainment. That's their goal, is to distract people. So we dip into that, and just dip your feet into that. That's fine. To recognize that, don't get too caught up in these kind of diversions. So I think of these politicians, for instance, and they divert you into different modalities, ways of thinking, ways of seeing the world, and it you know, duality, the kind of polarities of this world can really distract us from an ascended point of view of really the nature of existence, which is non-dual. It's not actually caught up in duality. It's transcendental. And the transcendental space is very 5D. It's very much about thought and the quantum field. And the quantum field is almost instantaneous thought. If you want to be somewhere, that you're there. The speed of thought is pretty immediate. The neuron just fires, and you're there. And we can go there without consciousness at any point in meditation. The point is that anything happening around you is often a distraction. It's pulling you away from yourself, pulling you away from awareness, pulling yourself away from your own life and being aware of yourself in this three-dimensional space around you. So dip into something, sure of it, also dip out of it, see it for the illusion that it is. Don't get caught up in too much heaviness or division or restriction, or I would say closed-mindedness, because there's various people I notice, and they're essentially closed-minded. They're not open, very open to new perspectives, new ideas. And for me, I like to listen to people because it's interesting, and if I learn something new, that's wonderful to learn new things. And you can listen to someone and they have a different experience from you. That's an opportunity to learn. That's your opportunity. When I sent something to someone I know, and they responded in a very dismissive way. It was actually a YouTube clip. And the person speaking was very interesting to me, speaking about trauma and stress and his own challenges with ADHD. And I found him very interesting. And I thought, I'll give you his name, Dr. Gabor Mate. I'm not sure if you heard of Gabor Mate. He's a Canadian doctor. And he's very intelligent and talks about the context of a lot of problems people have. For instance, ADHD, the context of that, which is stress, and the way the stress plays on the brain. And for instance, a child is, if you think of the fight-flight instinct, the ADHD is almost the response to not being able to fight or flight. It's kind of a child being restricted and reacting to stress, responding actually within the brain to a stressful environment. So he has some very interesting ideas. And I shared that with someone, and they actually dismissed him outright. And I was really surprised. And then I thought, well, that's actually something that I find confronting, when someone dismisses something that I find interesting. So I reflected that back to myself and realized that other people certainly have resistances, and they have this closed mindedness. And that reveals something about them, not about me. And it's really their path. If they want to live like in their own little four walls, Let them live in their own four walls. That's their path. It's up to them. It's not my path. For me, I'm interested in ideas, and Gabor Mate, he's a very interesting man, and dismissing anyone, just dismissing them as if their experience is not valid, you miss out on learning. You miss out on possibilities of opening your mind, of hearing new perspectives, of seeing something in a different way. But often there's a fear. I guess there's a fear, but perhaps there's an insecurity of seeing something in a different way, because it means that maybe your perspective is inaccurate or not the full picture. And I suppose people are confronted by that idea, and so there's a sort of people react in a fearful way because they're protecting their idea. And I'm sure we all do this to some extent. We react to protect our own ideas. And so interesting how that plays out, and interesting how we respond to life reflects something about us. Of course, it reflects how we see the world. And when you see someone doing something, it's based on their model of the world, how they've modeled what they think is real, how they've modeled that, and they're responding to the world in their own way based on that. If you take a step back, it can be kind of funny, and it's just, okay, well, that's kind of seems really that's just how they're doing life. And it's important to take the personal aspect out of this as well at times. It's personal and interpersonal, and I would say, I don't know what the opposite of transcendent is. I suppose it's maybe grounded or embodied versus transcendent. And I think both are skillful, both are helpful to be embodied in this reality that we're in this level of consciousness that we inhabit. But also having a transcendent perspective is helpful. If we just transcendent, then sometimes I think it will be a struggle to live our lives in this world. So I think having a bit of both is important and helpful. And welcome to Kim. That's great to see you, Kim. But really, what I was getting to is that I get caught up as well in division, and there is a lot of perspectives that are quite fear-based and quite it's kind of designed to sort of terrorize people, and I get caught up in this hysteria. There is a lot of hysteria, drama. I also get caught up in that. So remember that your soul has a transcendent nature, which is not caught up in this drama at all. And your soul is here to experience that drama, but also have a connection to the supernal realms, to what is beyond, what is above, what is ascended, elevated. And that you could call it transcendent. And I'm curious for me to investigate more about transcendence and how to use the transcendence, because I believe a lot of meditation is transcendental. It connects us to what is transcendence. And having neighbors that make a lot of noise, that is a challenge. That's this very embodied body that I'm in, human realm, embodied human realm, where there's a noise that is something that is going to affect people. But having the skill to harness one's spiritual nature is is really helpful and important, and realize, whoever it is having this human experience, just the neighbors, for instance, sounds like they're actually having fun. So in a way, I'm sort of, I could celebrate their fun. Now I'm trying to sleep. It's not fun for me hearing a noise when I'm trying to sleep. However, their experience is perfectly valid of having fun and enjoying themselves. That's that's pretty awesome. It's just me that wants to change the external world, and we all do. We want to fashion the external world to fit into our paradigm. Our sometimes it's just a fantasy, to fit into our fantasy, how we think things should be. So as a soul in a human body, there's always a transcended experience, a transcended worldview, an uplifted way of seeing things. So instead of putting people down, realize that that person is here for a purpose, and that soul, they may be whatever they are, they're here for a purpose. So when you demonize them, when you call them names, when you're just getting caught up in the drama, and that's a projection. That really is a projection. People are experiencing the world, and often it's pre-directed, pre-chosen, so they're having a planned experience, a programmed experience. For instance, if say they're president, that was meant for them to be president. So there is free will, and I think we've talked about this quite a lot. I think is the idea of free will and determinism, and some things are determined. Some things you're just meant to be. You're just meant to be the president. Certain people are just meant to be the president, and so accepting certain things as they are is really helpful, and that's really what meditation helps with, is to accept. Whether it's the neighbors making a noise, whether it's the weather, whether it's our physical body, whatever it's doing, whether it's something in our personal lives, whatever dimension is changing, is sort of like a wave coming in and out. It's important just to stabilize, to accept that which we cannot change, and there's a lot that we can change, and what we can change is ourselves, our perspective, our energy, our vibration, our openness, our ability to accept our environment, accept our situation, and in that way we transcend it. So it's still going on, and it's no longer such a bother. That person is still making whatever decisions, and they're just doing their thing, and so that's what meditation is. And with that little introduction, we're going to do a bit of meditation now. So getting really comfortable. Within your physical body, within your physical realm, finding a space for yourself to be. And imagine this physical body as a vibrating energy field of beingness. This is where your soul merges with the physical aspects of yourself and creates a vibratory changing field of energy and matter, spirit and form. And this is our human realm. being consciously aware of our breath always helps us. It always helps us to slow down. So for just a few moments, let's breathe together. In our consciousness, disconnecting gently from our sense of what is real and what is not real, what is true and what is not true, what is accurate, what is not accurate, what is solid and what is amorphous. Disconnecting from all those polarities, so that when you breathe, you can breathe in the qualities of your soul. You can tune into the stillness vibrating that you are. You can connect to what is real about you, which is Sat Nam, love, knowingness, bliss. Breathing that in, being aware of that, and tuning into that reality, to that consciousness of love, of knowingness, of bliss. As you breathe, tuning your consciousness like a tuning fork into this state of wonder, of love, of knowingness, of bliss. As you breathe, enjoy being, enjoy breathing, enjoy being and breathing. Your consciousness can transcend any polarity. enjoying being in a human body with the ability to go anywhere in your imagination, with the ability to change one's energy, with the ability to love or not, to be kind or not, to be open or not, to be gentle or not, to touch the earth softly with loving compassion, or the reverse of that. As a soul, we have these choices, we have these decisions to make. How will we be in the world? How will we act towards ourselves? And just remembering to breathe in the qualities of your soul: love, knowingness, bliss. Breathing into that. And allowing that to enter into all the vibratory portals of our soul, past, present, future, and all the vibratory portals of our physical body, our physical embodiment, past, present, future. Starting to move your body, feeling your connection to the ground, to the earth. You may wish to stretch yourself, stretch out your arms, your legs, and putting your hands over your face, over your head, massaging your eyes, your head, your neck. Focusing your healing energy through your hands to balance out the hemispheres of your brain. Namaste, and thank you so much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the meditation. Let me know in the comments section. Sometimes we need a neutral space for transcendence, for this true reality, or something that's really real to be experienced. It takes a certain neutrality, and it's helpful to have a bit of neutrality, a bit of detachment, We may play with attachment, like I love my tea. And it's also important to have that ability to be a little bit neutral, or very neutral, depending on the conditions, depending on the circumstances. So everything is dependent on the particular circumstances. Sometimes one needs to do something in this world, and so if one's in a purely neutral space all the time, then it wouldn't be skillful, it wouldn't be useful. However, if you're a monk in a cave, perhaps you can stay neutral forever. Perhaps you can be completely in a Zen state. And that's there are a lot of people who spend years in caves, or spend even their lives in caves, meditating and working on their mind. So that's an interesting path, and it's helpful to have that kind of energy being embodied in this world. So there are people out there, and I like to listen to chanting. I like to listen to the Gregorian chants and monks chanting. I enjoy that. So what do you like to listen to? Is it something that you find that's transcendent? At the moment, every Sunday I've got a radio show, so I go live on Sunday. I should probably share the link. I think you can listen live. There's a certain app you can download, and you can listen to me live on the radio. And so that's also a time where I'm sort of being recorded and talking about various topics. It's quite fun. But we can dip in and out. We're here to play with the illusion, play with the 3D realm, to play with life. And regarding the comments, I am keeping up with the comments, and so please feel free to comment. Let me know if you're there, if you would like some kind of reading. It's still have a few minutes if you would like some kind of reading. And Stu's asking about the link to radio. I need to find it, Stu. And Emmanuel, with the beautiful name, Emmanuel Gabriel, mantras, and I lived on a mountain for 2 years. So I would love to know more about that, Emmanuel. That sounds really something special, and I would love to know more about that. And mantras are really helpful and help us to connect to what is real. And it is also a bit of a paradigm shift to what is real, what is illusory, and to move your mind around those kind of topics, because there's a different perspectives. There's not a right and wrong when you enter into transcendence or non-duality. There's not a right or wrong. You can say, well, a tree is real or a tree is not real. Or when you look from close to anything physical, you see that it's empty. You see that it's emptiness is part of nature. So the physical body it seems really physical, but really deep down it's space. It's filled with space. So even a chair, a table seems so solid that when you go deep down, it's spaciousness, it's space. So Emmanuel, I'll pick a card for Emmanuel with the beautiful name. And that's a very interesting image. It's very, very strong. That looks like a wolf. And I don't know, it looks like a horse, or I'm not too sure what I'm seeing there, but very interesting. Matter and antimatter. And I think it's important to have this ability to recognize even two opposite things being true, just different ways of seeing the world. And I think that's with quantum physics, that's the case where you can think a table is real. In one sense, it is real, and then from another point of view, it's just empty space. So it's not about one thing being true, and it's being holding different things as true at the same time. I think that's really an important shift to make for a lot of people, seeing the world in a one-dimensional way, and really it's the multi-dimensional state of the world. But even we are a physical body, we're also soul. So it's not that one is right and one is wrong. That one perspective is right, one is wrong. It's happening at the same time. It's a co-creation. So Emmanuel, we are picking cards for you and excuse me. Yeah, well, it's telling me, Emmanuel, that that action is required, that movement is required. But you do need to shift things around. Possibly there is also a sense of just appreciating where you are, where you've been, where you're going. And sometimes we look at a present moment with dissatisfaction, or what the Buddhists call dukkha, dissatisfaction with this realm. And inherently, there's always a bit of emptiness in whatever we have, or something we experience as a short-term high, and then what follows it can be a bit of a low. Even if we have the greatest, whatever it is, the greatest food created, there's a moment that we have the transitory moment, and then it's gone. And that is the nature of life. So this is saying that action is really important at the moment, Emmanuel, that you need to sort of push forward quite strongly right now. So it's telling me you do have some goals, things that you would like to achieve. It's just that it really needs some action in the 3D realm. So this is very much saying take action, and it's saying your worldview, you're a little bit caught up in the past here, a little bit caught up in dukkha. So take a moment to appreciate your blessings, to appreciate all that you have experienced, the gifts of all you have experienced, which has brought a lot of richness to your life. And just think of all the decisions you've made that have brought you to this level of consciousness and richness, and appreciate that. So it's really important you appreciate that. Some ideas you seem attached to, it's indicating to let go of that, whether it's the past or the future. There's a sense of being held down, and even wearing a mask of contentment, or it's almost like a pretense, which we all do to some extent. So there's something that's keeping you a bit stuck in an emotional pattern that's a bit it's holding you back. So get into really healthy patterns, break out of the other stuff, and work on those healthy patterns. Structure is important. So the structure and the healthy patterns are going to help get you in order and release the unhelpful patterns. So really important you take action, Emmanuel, and shift into positive actions, into I'm just seeing physically needing to be exercising, to be practical, and to really take action on those things you've been putting off. With things, remember the richness of your experience, to appreciate that, to be grateful for that, the richness of your consciousness. We're right now focusing on 3D matters or practical matters of taking action. That's important. So thank you, Emmanuel. And I'm not seeing any other comments, so I was just silent for a moment. Yeah, we don't have a lot of comments from Kim. I usually hear more from you, Kim. So I don't know if the comments are working. If anyone would like me to pick a card, let me know in the comments section. If you would like a reading, put it in the comments. Otherwise, we will have to end early today. If there's no one else that anyone would like a card, okay, going. All right, I think we will end early today. So thank you so much for entering into the space and for being part of this experience, for being for generating this harmony within yourself, within the external world, for remembering who you are as a soul, as something that's beyond this narrow duality, and for being aware of the polarities of this experience and harmonizing with that, being able to accept different truths at the same time, being able to accept perhaps someone is doing something that you perceive as bad, but that's maybe their role in the world is to be doing that. So don't get too caught up in even someone who's doing something that you perceive as wrong. Perhaps that's their particular soul contract that they're supposed to be doing that. And perhaps they're here to teach us what not to do, how not to be, or how that can be destructive to do that. Honor everyone's path. Everyone has some kind of soul contracts that they're on. Debbie, thank you so much for being here. And Stu, thanks so much for being here. Kim, I'll just pick a card. You said you would like a card. Yeah, so things are still the same kind of card for you, Kim, exactly the same. So it's the same cards as I got for you last time, exactly. Yeah, so nothing has changed. So remember the changes within you, and it's up to you to make those changes. Just be a bit careful that there's a bit of inauthenticity around you, around the people in your life. So just take a step back, and focus on what is really important to you. But don't get too caught up in the world. That's clear. There's a bit sense of overthinking in these cards, a sense of looking a lot outside of you. So remember to come back within, to look within yourself, looking at everything else. So go within a bit more, and be really honest and open with yourself. Be really honest and open with yourself. It does feel like there's a bit of fake stuff around you. It feels like in your environment and the people you interact with, and it's kind of influencing you. You're feeling a bit like, what is real? What is it really important to me? And that's a good thing that you're questioning. That's important. That's helpful. So keep questioning it. You will get the answers, and you will be able to go a bit deeper here. There is a material world. There is engaging in call it spiritual priorities. So there's no right or wrong. What I said earlier, but you realize that something is important for you, is true for you, and you can focus on the spiritual aspect of spiritual endeavor, and that will help you create a beautiful garden. And the universe is wanting to help you to fill your life with beauty and joy. So be open to synchronicity, expect the unexpected, and affirm your blessings. I really see you putting up on your fridge, putting up on the wall. I am blessed with an abundantly spiritual life. Every day and everywhere, my joyous prosperity grows and grows. And I feel that that's coming to you, Kim, and so tap into that source of who you are, and that's going to help manifest it and create it in your environment. So thank you so much, everyone, and see you next week. Have a beautiful week and lots of love to you all.